Grandpa Joe and Emily were sitting in the cozy study room filled with books, when the old grandfather posed an intriguing question. Emily, do you know how we measure different weather conditions? Emily tilted her head, looking curious. Not really, Grandpa. Can you show me? She replied earnestly. Of course. Let's start with the barometer, Grandpa Joe began, reaching for his shelf where the weather instruments were kept. Just as he was about to explain, their curious cat, Mr. Whiskers, sprang onto the table. His whiskers twitched with evident excitement. It looks like Mr. Whiskers wants to join us. Let's start with the barometer, chuckled Grandpa Joe, diverting Emily's attention back to the shiny glass tube filled with mercury he had just placed on the table. This is a barometer. It measures atmospheric pressure. When the pressure is high, the mercury rises, and when it's low, the mercury falls. This helps us predict weather changes. As Grandpa Joe demonstrated how the barometer worked, Emily watched in sheer awe. Mr. Whiskers, intrigued by the mercury's subtle movements, pawed at the glass tube. When Emily eagerly asked what was next, Grandpa Joe brought out a glass thermometer. This is a thermometer. It measures the temperature. The liquid inside the thermometer expands and rises as it gets warmer, and contracts and falls as it gets cooler. She observed carefully as Grandpa placed the thermometer in warm water, watched the liquid rise, and shared her excitement. This is so cool, Grandpa. What else do we have? The next tool, a rain gauge, was a cylindrical container. Grandpa Joe placed it in front of her. This is a rain gauge. It measures the amount of rainfall. The rainwater collects in the container, and we can measure the level to know how much rain has fallen. Emily immediately envisioned how it would fill up during a rainstorm. Mr. Whiskers, playful as ever, tried his best to bat at the container. Next up, Grandpa Joe showed Emily a large balloon with attached instruments. This is a weather balloon. It carries instruments high into the atmosphere to measure temperature, humidity, and pressure at different altitudes. The data helps meteorologists understand weather patterns. The idea of a balloon soaring through the sky fascinated Emily, while Mr. Whiskers, drawn to the floating contraption, pawed at it gently. Finally, Grandpa Joe pointed Emily to a computer screen displaying satellite images. This is a satellite image. Satellites orbit the Earth and take pictures of weather patterns from space. They help us see large weather systems like hurricanes and track their movement. Emily's eyes widened in amazement as she studied the satellite images. Mr. Whiskers sat contentedly beside Grandpa Joe, somewhat indifferent to the screen. So, Emily, Grandpa Joe summarized, these are some of the tools we use to study and predict the weather. Each tool plays an important role in keeping us informed and safe. Thank you, Grandpa. I learned so much today. And Mr. Whiskers seemed to enjoy it too. Emily said, a big smile on her face. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Emily. Remember, science is all about curiosity and exploration. Now, let's go have some cookies. With that, Grandpa Joe, Emily, and Mr. Whiskers headed to the kitchen, their minds filled with the wonders of weather tools and how they help us understand the world around us.